And welcome back to Real Ag Radio here for the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Corteva Crop Protection. And joining us right now actually is Rhett Duke from Corteva. He is Technical Sales Agronomist for Southern Saskatchewan. Rhett, how are we doing?
Good. How are you doing today, Sean?
Oh, pretty good. Spring is kind of in the air, a little bit more so anyway.
Yeah. Here, down where I am in the southeast corner of Saskatchewan, we actually had the pleasure of about 15 inches of fresh, wet snow here over the last 24 hours. So it's a welcome sight because we're needing the moisture. And I think once this kind of disappears and dries up, I think a lot of the folks should be hitting the field in earnest here quite shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, today we're going to talk about pulse crops and the need to really, protect that foliage, keep it healthy, get it through the growing season, because we know in pulse crops, leaf diseases they're an issue. They prevent yield.
Yeah, you're bang on, Sean. And one thing that kind of runs through my head is really the recent SAS Pulse disease survey, where they kind of highlighted some startling levels of prevalence in both our lentil and field pea crops here in Saskatchewan. And just to take a bit of data from that talk, 85% of the fields that they sampled in terms of lentils last year all had anthracnose present, and 95% of all field pea crops that they sampled here in Saskatchewan last year all contained Mycosphaerella, or that Ascochyta blight complex.
Wow.
So these two diseases are, really prevalent for us in Saskatchewan and, quite frankly, Western Canada, and they can do a lot of damage in terms of both yield and grain quality reductions for the grower.
So what do we do? Is there, is the simple answer fungicide, or is there other things that we can do?
Yeah, you're bang on. I don't want to straight away jump to, the crop protection product, because any good agronomist is going to start with integrated pest management, right? And I think that starts with having a solid crop rotation, using nice, clean, certified seeds, selecting the right seed treatments, and really have an understanding of what your risk level is on a field by field basis. I think we know that a lot of these crops, they are going to be quite susceptible to both of these diseases. And I think it's just important that we kind of stay on top of them right from the start.
Yeah. It being proactive, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, part of that is making sure we get some good boots on the ground and we start scouting these crops, especially as we reach some more advanced node or growth stages. Ultimately, a lot of the fungicide options we have, Sean, we need to make sure we're getting them on preventatively. We don't want to wait until that field is chock full of disease until we roll in with that fungicide pass.
And we're talking pulse crops here, but really, I don't care if it's that beautiful canola field behind you or it's a cereal crop. It's the same. It's the same challenge.
Yeah, you're bang on. And I think, the way I look at it, the nice part when we think about pulses, we still got a real issue with root rot or phanomyces. And unfortunately, growers, we don't have a lot of good solutions for those right now. Their prevalence is obviously really, really high too. But we are quite fortunate to have a number of tools at our disposal to help us manage both anthracnose, mycosphaerella, and a number of other leaf diseases in our pulse crops here in Western Canada.
Yeah. And some people were like, man, kind of early to talk about this, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, I would agree with a bit of snow on the ground looking out the window right now. But what I would say is you don't want to get caught behind the eight ball, get that crop out of the ground, get thinking about in-crop herbicides, and then potentially miss the boat on a well-timed fungicide application. I think the way I look at it is if you've managed to produce that nice dense crop, you're looking at a high level of wheat leaf wetness, kind of midday. Market price is looking pretty favorable for you. You kind of scan that 5-day forecast, you're seeing some rain come in. I think in a lot of cases, it's going to pay dividends for that grower to choose and select the right fungicide for the operation and make that pass.
Rhett, is there any options from Corteva in terms of managing disease?
Yeah, Sean, we actually have a brand new product that we recently launched into Western Canada called Zetigo PRM, and it's powered by a brand new Group 21 Adavelt active. This active ingredient's never been seen before here in Western Canada, and it's really going to offer growers a powerful solution for managing leaf diseases in pulse crops such as chickpea, lentil, field pea, as well as faba beans. So if you haven't asked any questions or heard about it, please, I encourage you to reach out to your retail or your local Corteva AgriScience rep, and we'd be happy to tell you more.
You getting excited to go and walk some fields?
Yeah, it'll be nice to break out of the office here. As an agronomist, spend a lot of time on calls like this and in-person trainings over the winter months. And in a few short weeks here, I'll be spending most of my time on the road and most of my time in the fields. So
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to that.
Before we wrap up here, Rhett, what are some of the things you've heard the most from some of your internal team at Corteva or farmer customers you're talking to as we lead into the season? What is there key things or hot topics are being asked about a lot?
Right now it's kind of just all over the board. I think a lot of people are at different phases of the planning cycle. And, I think in my role right now, you're never surprised to get a question about fungicides before we start the season, or, maybe even a week or two's time here, some questions about seed treatment before stuff hits the field. But I think at the end of the day, having your plan kind of ironed down, well thought through, and then quite frankly, sticking to that plan is going to alleviate a lot of that in season stress and that kind of hecticness that we typically run through as we get the season off to a good start.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Rhett, thanks a lot for joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire, and all the best to you in the spring here. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Sean.